A groundbreaking partnership is shaping the future of education. OpenAI has joined forces with Miami Dade College, the largest and most diverse college in the nation, to bring artificial intelligence to the forefront of learning.
Good afternoon. So I think that we're going to be starting right now. We have today a really special session. We have the team from the company that brought to everyone in the world the magic of AI. We have in the room the company that created a dream true for many. So the team from OpenAI that took the time to come to Miami Dade College, to meet with the students, to meet with the faculty, is here today to showcase the work that they are doing and to know about you guys. Take this opportunity to learn, take this opportunity to connect, and to do things. Please, again, pay attention, listen, ask, learn, and take an action. So without further ado, I wanted to introduce Kevin, Alex, and Mohamed, and they are going to be doing the presentation.
This historic event marks the launch of the OpenAI Academy, a new initiative to empower communities with the tools and knowledge to harness AI's transformative power.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alex. I'm with OpenAI's Global Affairs team and really happy to be here today at our first ever OpenAI Academy. As far as the agenda for today, we're going to tell you a little bit about this new initiative, OpenAI Academy. We're going to tell you a little bit about what we're learning in the AI space, in higher education specifically, but also more generally. But then we'll spend the bulk of the time in a kind of hands-on workshop designed to help all of you kind of learn how to be building with AI, and our colleague Mohamed will be leading that session. So to kick off, I want to talk a little bit about OpenAI Academy. This is a new initiative designed to bring resources directly from OpenAI's leading technical talent to communities around the country and help people build with AI. This will include a few different features. One of them is developer education, so events like workshops that are kind of focused on both introductory, intermediate, and more advanced lessons about building with AI. We'll also have other types of learning resources that are available online. So these will be things like cookbooks, which are kind of manuals about how you can do certain things, webinars and discussion forums. And then there will also be a community aspect. So this will include kind of online discussion forums where you can interact with other developers and discuss challenges and questions. So because this is brand new, we don't actually have the online digital community set up yet, but everybody who is here today will be invited to that when it's launched, which will be at the beginning of next year.
Over a year in the making, this collaboration underscores Miami Dade College's commitment to preparing students for the future of work. By integrating AI into education, MDC is setting an example for institutions worldwide.
We actually had a presentation by some MDC students, really cool work of what we've seen. So excited to hear what you all are doing. What is something you'd like to learn about today? Before I hit open poll, presentation is mostly fixed, but is just curious for things that we can maybe mention as well. So with that, I'll sort of open the poll, just a couple words, topics of things you guys are interested in hearing about. We'll try and cover these to the extent possible, but we'll see what comes out. Free credits. Love that. Building API. Okay. 2 people so far. Agents. Make money. Monetizing. Agents again. Future implementation. AI in education. Okay. Embeddings. I like embeddings. Different uses. Opportunity to learn about AI and code. Agentic AI reliability. Seeing that sort of stand out. Models make propane. Propane. I don't know what that is. Episodic memory, cool. A few more seconds. This is really interesting. Thanks for participating. 3, 2, 1. Stop. And okay, so I think this is interesting. Social skills, yikes. So this is again, appreciate you all participating. Like we said, it sounds like most folks are lightly technical, generally familiar with the concept. So we'll try and tailor the presentation, but this was more just for us to understand you all. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Alex to cover a little bit of first part of our presentation.
Miami Dade College students are already leading the way. Their AI-driven projects solve real-world problems, demonstrating the potential of an AI-native mindset.
I think what's behind it is a lot of caution on the higher education side, where institutions don't want to necessarily revamp everything before they know for sure what's coming with this technology. And you can see this in this chart here on the right. I think this data was pulled from LinkedIn, and basically is a composite of skills across these different industries to showcase AI skill adoption. Up at the top here, you may not be able to see it, but you've got financial services, you've got consumer services, finance, healthcare, and other industries writ large that are rapidly adopting these skills and evolving their workflows accordingly. Down towards the middle, you have more traditional industries and other groups that are more slow in terms of their adoption. Then down at the bottom, we have higher education and EDU writ large. I think the insight here is the skill adoption is not at the pace of the employers that are hiring your graduates, right? And so it's something to pay attention to as you think about MDC and the future of work and how that relates to the curriculum you're putting in front of students each day. I know you all get this and you're ahead of the curve on this, and we've been really excited to learn from you over the past 4 hours or so in terms of how MDC is different and how you are really advancing up this curve more quickly. But I think it's exciting to see, I think, from the perspective of what we talk to in terms of other partnerships, your acceleration here. So in terms of just giving a quick overview of OpenAI and kind of what we're doing as an organization that we think is different and differentiating as a partner here, it's just starting off with kind of our core value proposition as an institution and an organization. Many folks don't realize this, but OpenAI is actually a research organization. At our core, we are a team of research scientists, and our goal is to really help determine and explore breakthroughs as it relates to AI. That informs our product applications, the ones you know and love, like ChatGPT, which are directly a result of that research. And from there, we're able to deploy that technology to the world, to learn from it, to grow from it, and inform the next round of research. This flywheel has been incredibly effective at helping us to rapidly innovate at scale. And it's behind all the products like ChatGPT o1, Sora, and many of the other features you're seeing launched this week with the 12 days of OpenAI. Right? There are organizations out there that are developing great AI solutions like Google and Microsoft and Amazon, but those organizations do a number of other things too. We are exclusively an AI-focused organization. So all of what we do is starting with that. And so that, I think, is an important distinction to pay attention to as you think about platforms and solutions to be working with. Just to go a little bit deeper on our solutions themselves. So, I think the building blocks of all of our approach to partnership really starts with our core model technology. So for Omni, Canvas, o1, Whisper, DALL-E, and all the other solutions that you've come to know and love over the past few years, those are really the foundational building blocks of how we partner. From there, we launch product offerings like ChatGPT EDU, which make those LLMs accessible to all audiences, technical and non-technical. Core element of ChatGPT EDU you may be less familiar with is our custom GPT technology, which enables you to rapidly innovate on chatbots with no coding experience. Those custom GPTs are really the engine of our partnership approach in higher education that enables us to get the technology to start working for us and really accelerate on that innovation curve. In terms of the capabilities that we bring on top of these core solutions, so a lot of ways that we can customize ChatGPT EDU to fit and interweave with your technology on campus. We can also leverage different technologies to help us partner more closely together in making those real and making those effective. So some examples here are on-demand data analysis and research applications and super assistants as it relates to the student experience on campus. We also, as you all are so familiar with, have an API. And that API technology is really powering a lot of the innovation that we heard of today in terms of the projects that students presented on. A lot of ways we support that as well in terms of developer events, research innovation, hackathons, and learning opportunities. And we want to do much more on this side as well. And of course, all of these core solutions are covered by our best-in-class data security. And so all of the enterprise solutions we've talked about today, they include that SOC 2, SOC 3 compliance, that's GDPR compliant, that's fully airtight from the standpoint of your data.
While industries like finance and healthcare rapidly adopt AI, education has lagged behind. But MDC is closing that gap, personalizing learning and streamlining workflows for faculty and staff.
So APIs for beginners. So I want to start with a history lesson. And we're going to start with little old GPT-4, which I think came out about a year and a half ago. So it's pretty ancient in AI terms. And back in the day, it was unimodal, which meant it accepted text and it output text. And back in the day, that was all it took to impress people. And now everybody's always asking me about agents and frameworks and connectors and GPTs and this and that. So expectations certainly have gotten a lot higher. After text came image, right? So you can upload an image, ask it a question, and get a response back. That was the first step of multimodality that we saw with these models. However, the challenge was, in case you wanted to have one of our models generate an image, you first needed it to generate text, then use DALL-E to create an image. So one of the patterns you'll sort of see is that it's not really one model to fit them all. It's models, plural, working in parallel to create a system. Another good one is audio. For example, if you wanted to, have folks seen like Notebook LM, the podcast generator, right? I created a version of that, but in order to do so, I had to hack together a couple of LLMs where you first maybe used, let's say I wanted to give a topic, right? I used Whisper first to turn my audio, what I was saying, into text.
This is Micro Machine. I'm setting the most rigid miniature motorcade of Micro Machine.
That could then be interpreted by one of our GPT models, and then GPT-4 is going to run some logic and create like a podcast transcript based on what I'm saying, and then use a text-to-speech model to create the audio back. So kind of the messy thing here is that ultimately GPT-4 really just handles the text, and there's other models around it that handle all the other logic as we're building these systems. But then came along GPT-4o, which came out, and it changed the game for multimodality, where we now see that it can natively handle text, audio, and image, which has been a huge performance improvement. So there's actually 3 different endpoints, unfortunately, for audio, chat, and images. And I know I just said that there's one model that can now handle all of them, but historically, if you're using your APIs, you'll know that we do have like a chat model or a chat endpoint that you can run a number of different models, but there's also an audio endpoint that just handles text to audio, audio to text, and then the images ones, image to text, text to image. There's also a series of other endpoints that we now support. So who here has heard of RAG before? So if you haven't, it's basically a system where if you ask it a question, it's going to retrieve information first from some database before it generates a response. The goal there is to have a more enriched response or a more tailored. So we have a number of endpoints that support RAG, and that was, again, built because we saw, hey, our users are not just using it to ask questions, they're using it to pull and synthesize information. So a lot of the things we see around pilots and people using it are around building RAG chatbots. And then the last one is like batch, moderation, fine-tuning. Again, these are artifacts of what Kevin talked about earlier, wherein we're a research company first, we build this powerful technology, we deploy it into the world and build products around it. We see what other people do with it, and then we productize it. So I'm going to talk through the sort of 5 API ingredients. So if you've never used an LLM beyond like ChatGPT, what are like the 5 minimum things you need to know so that you can leave here and be an expert on LLMs? First one is your model, of course. It's when you send an API call, there's going to be a core model that's going to be generating what we call a completion. Or a response. So if you ever wonder why is it called a completions API, it's because in the research world we call them completion models because they're generating a completion. They treat your input as the beginning of a sequence and the output as the end of that sequence. It's really being used for hard math and science problems. You're not going to want to use that on a day-to-day basis, but we have seen a lot of use cases around like really complex reasoning and strategy. So I've sometimes used it to just help think through strategy on how do I frame this presentation, and here's what I'm thinking of presenting. Can you gut check me and give me some criticism on how I can improve it, right? So that's sort of a strategy thing, whereas 4.0 is more for your general purpose. Then there's the messages. So there's sort of three people talking in an LLM interaction. There's me, the user. There's the assistant, which is the model, right? So when you send a message to ChatGPT, you're the user, ChatGPT is the assistant, and that's the interaction. There's also this thing called the system message. And that's a sort of an interesting field where it's sort of the rules that govern the boundaries of the conversation. So if you're building a chatbot on Miami Dade College to help with admissions, right? Your system message might be, it's for the assistant. You are a chatbot that exists to help people understand Miami Dade College's background. Only answer questions on these topics. Keep it short, keep it simple, don't be too technical. And then when a user asks a question, the assistant looks at the system prompt as additional context to producing completion. And the last one is max tokens, which sets the length of a single prompt completion pair, right? So you send a message, how long do you want the response to be? And this one's really important. We got a lot of messages today about API credits and cost being a big concern. One thing is like you're paying for the token, right? You literally pay on a consumption basis. So things like max tokens can be a big way of keeping cost in control as you design your applications. So you might be thinking to yourself, temperature, response format, max tokens. It's late, it's finals week. It's it's a little bit too much. But rest not, because there is OpenAI Playground, which gives you the ability to experiment with all these parameters in a way that's not requiring you to write JSON and write Python code, but instead very quickly experiment with those parameters. So for the first demo, I want to kind of show you what that looks like. So I'm switching over here. It's platform.openai.com. And during the break session, I would actually encourage people who have not seen this before to use it. I find this to be a really valuable tool. And the number one reason why is it actually shows me how this code all works in context. So if I forget to do it during the demo, I want to flag this button here called code. All these things, there's all these dials that we can twiddle on here. We can change the model. We can change the response format like I talked about earlier. We're not going to talk about function calling today. It's a slightly advanced topic. But temperature, max tokens. A lot of what we do as developers is tweak these things. What's the ideal set of parameters that can get that exact right model response exactly as I want it and cost as cheaply as possible. And also, I want to write as little code as possible. This playground is the perfect way for you to get familiar with the APIs and how different inputs and outputs affect the response without having to write code. So let's walk through an example of a use case here. So let's say I wanted to write an advertisement about MDC's engineering technology program. So right here, I'm the user, and I'm going to run it. It's going to generate a completion, and that's it. That's the end of a single turn. And again, going back to that code piece, if you want to see, it's going to take a few seconds to see. You can see here, like we can pull it up and actually see the Python code. So if I copy this, put it into any Python interpreter, all I need to do is then put in my API key and boom, you're done, right? It's a very simple example of how to use the APIs, kind of giving you a sense of how it works.
This partnership is just the beginning. Together, Miami Dade College and OpenAI are paving the way for a future where education and AI converge to create endless possibilities.
I wanted to say thank you again to you guys. Natalie, please come here as well. So Natalie is an important part of this team. She's leading some community engagement initiative. She's the person that if you wanted to get more involved, please talk to her today. And again, take the action, and this is the people that are going to create that. I take her word, and hopefully next year, we can do it before the end of the year, a recap of the advancements that we have achieved in a collaboration this year, or the coming year. Thank you again for coming to Miami-Dade, and let's keep moving forward together.